Scene script. Have you ever wondered how we inherit certain traits from our parents? Well, the answer lies in a complex yet fascinating science called genetics. Genetics is a branch of biology that delves into the mysteries of heredity and variation in living organisms. It's like the master puppeteer, pulling the strings that determine our traits, our characteristics, and ultimately, who we are. But what's at the heart of genetics? It's something we call genes. These are the building blocks of life, the microscopic architects that shape our existence. They're like tiny instruction manuals, carrying codes responsible for all our inherited traits. From the color of your eyes to the shape of your nose, from your love for music to your knack for numbers, it's all written in your genes. Now, you might be wondering, where do these genes come from? We inherit them from our parents, half from our mother and half from our father. This heredity process is like a game of genetic roulette, where traits are shuffled and dealt in a unique combination that makes you, you. But genetics isn't just about us humans. It plays a crucial role in every living organism on this planet, from the smallest bacteria to the largest whales, from the simplest plants to the most complex ecosystems. It's genetics that fuels the engine of life, and its importance goes even further. Understanding genetics opens the door to advancements in medicine, agriculture, and numerous other fields. For instance, by manipulating the genetic code of crops, we can improve their resistance to diseases, enhance their nutritional value, and even increase their yield. So, it's our genes that make us who we are, but how exactly do they work? This is where the mystery deepens, and the true magic of genetics unfolds. But that's a tale for another scene. For now, let's marvel at the wonder of genetics, the silent maestro orchestrating the symphony of life. How do genes dictate our traits? It's a question that has fascinated scientists for centuries. To understand this, we need to delve into the world of genetics. The foundation of genetics lies in the very building blocks of life itself, deoxyribonucleic acid, or as we commonly know it, DNA. DNA is a complex molecule that carries the genetic instructions used in the growth, development, and reproduction of all known living organisms and many viruses. It's like the master blueprint of life, holding all the information necessary to build and maintain an organism. Now, where does this DNA reside? It's housed within structures called chromosomes. Each human cell contains 23 pairs of chromosomes, adding up to a total of 46. These chromosomes are passed on to us from our parents, with half coming from our mother and the other half from our father. But what about genes? Well, genes are segments of DNA located on these chromosomes. Think of them as individual instructions within the blueprint. Each gene carries the code for a specific trait, be it your eye color, blood type, or even your susceptibility to certain diseases. Now, how do these genes determine our traits? Each gene in our DNA sequence corresponds to a specific protein. These proteins then interact with our bodies in various ways to produce traits. For example, the protein encoded by a gene might influence the pigment in your eyes, thereby determining your eye color. So when a baby is conceived, it receives a mix of genes from both parents. This unique combination of genes is what determines the baby's traits, making them a unique blend of their parents. This passing of traits from parents to offspring, that's heredity, and it's at the heart of genetics. It's the reason why you may have your mother's eyes or your father's smile, and it's the key to understanding how we can use genetics to improve crops, fight diseases, and even potentially alter our own destiny. Stay tuned as we continue our journey into the fascinating world of genetics. So how does a small piece of DNA determine so much about us? That's the question that has baffled scientists for centuries, and the answer lies in the genetic code. First, let's talk about DNA. DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is a molecule composed of two strands that coil around each other to form a double helix. Each strand is made up of a sugar phosphate backbone and bases. These bases are adenine, A, thymine, T, cytosine, C, and guanine, G. The order of these bases is what determines the DNA instructions, or genetic code. But how does this genetic code work? Well, it's quite fascinating. The genetic code is like a language with only 4 letters, A, T, C, and G. But these 4 letters, arranged in different ways, can create an infinite number of instructions. In groups of 3, These bases form what we call codons. Each codon corresponds to a specific amino acid, the building blocks of proteins. For instance, the codon CGT codes for the amino acid arginine, while TAC codes for tyrosine. By stringing together these amino acids, our bodies can build a vast array of proteins. These proteins are responsible for everything from our eye color to our ability to digest certain foods. But what's really mind-blowing is that this code is universal. The same codon will code for the same amino acid, whether it's in a human, a plant, or a bacterium. This universal nature of the genetic code is one of the most profound discoveries in biology. The implications of understanding the genetic code are enormous. By knowing how this code works, scientists can manipulate it. We can change the order of bases in a strand of DNA to alter the protein it codes for. This is the fundamental principle behind genetic engineering, a field with vast potential in medicine, agriculture, and beyond. So, next time you look in the mirror, remember that what you see is the result of a complex code written in 4 simple letters. By understanding this code, scientists can manipulate it to our advantage. But how does understanding our genetic code help improve crops? Well, the principles of genetics have a significant role in crop improvement. By understanding the genetic makeup of plants, scientists can manipulate their traits to enhance crop yield, resistance to pests, and even nutritional value. Let's delve a little deeper and see how this works. Genetic modification, or GM, is a process where scientists alter the DNA of a plant to introduce desirable traits. Imagine being able to design a crop that can withstand drought, resist pests, and even contain higher levels of essential nutrients. That's the power of genetic modification. Take, for instance, the Golden Rice Project. Scientists engineered rice plants to produce beta-carotene, a source of vitamin A. This was a response to vitamin A deficiency in regions where rice is a staple food. By manipulating the genetic code of rice, scientists were able to provide a potential solution to a significant health issue. Now, let's talk about crop yield and pest resistance. Traditional farming methods often struggle against pests and diseases, but through genetic modification, scientists can introduce genes that make crops resistant to these threats. This not only protects the crops, but also leads to a higher yield. For example, Bt cotton, a genetically modified cotton, contains a gene from a bacterium that produces a natural insecticide. This modification makes the cotton plants resistant to many pests, thereby increasing the yield. But it's not just about quantity. Quality plays a key role too. By understanding the genetics of crops, scientists can enhance the nutritional value of our food. This means we could have crops that contain higher levels of essential nutrients, providing a more balanced diet from a single source. In conclusion, the application of genetic principles in crop improvement is a game changer. It allows us to tackle food security issues, combat malnutrition, and even adapt to changing climatic conditions. Genetic manipulation in crops has the potential to revolutionize our food supply. So stay tuned as we explore the future of genetics in agriculture in our next segment. So, what does the future hold for genetics in agriculture? As we delve deeper into the 21st century, the vast potential of genetic manipulation in agriculture is beginning to unfold. It's an exciting time, full of promises and possibilities. One of the most promising prospects is the ability to create climate-resistant crops. As the global climate continues to fluctuate, our agricultural systems are being put to the test. Droughts, floods, and extreme temperatures are becoming more common, threatening our food supply. But what if our crops could weather these storms? Through genetic manipulation, we could potentially engineer crops that are resistant to these climate extremes. Imagine a wheat crop that can thrive in drought conditions, or a rice plant that can withstand flooding. This is not science fiction, but a very real possibility within our grasp. And it's not just about climate resistance. Genetic manipulation can also help to increase global food security. Today, nearly 1 in 9 people worldwide are undernourished, according to the United Nations. That's over 800 million people. But with the advancements in genetics, we could potentially increase crop yields, create nutrient-rich foods, and make agriculture more sustainable. Consider this. A single gene alteration could make a crop more nutritious, resistant to pests, or even able to grow in poor soil conditions. Now picture millions of these genetically enhanced crops feeding the world's population. It's a future where no one goes to bed hungry, where everyone has access to nutritious food, and where our agricultural systems are resilient and sustainable. But of course, there are challenges and ethical considerations to grapple with. The road to this future will require careful navigation, robust scientific research, and thoughtful dialogue. The future of agriculture lies within our understanding of genetics. With it, we have the power to create a sustainable and secure food supply for generations to come. Subscribe for more.